Hi, welcome. This is Dr. John DeMartini. This is one of the most amazing and inspiring shows that you can listen into. If you want to be on the edge of your seats, if you want to open up your heart, if you want to expand your mind, and you want to meet incredible people, stay tuned because you're just about to experience a transformative radio show that will change your life. And you're listening to the Dr. Pat Show that's coming up right next.
The following audio is via a Skype call.
Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. Talk radio to thrive by. Powerful, inspiring, and coming to you live, bringing you stories of people like you and me, busting through and living life full out. Get ready to dare to wonder what your life would be like if you knew you could not fail. Wow. Hey, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's so great to have you tune us and turn us on. Oh, my gosh. My friend, my colleague, Dr. Dan Cohen is joining us here today. Why? Benny, we're going to be talking about the SolTec Lounge.
Ooh.
I call it the chair.
Bring it. Oh, like the big chair.
The chair, the big chair. You know, the chair that I get to hang out in, and then all of a sudden, all of the mind chatter goes away. And I'm able to receive intuitive ideas. Not only that, what is it about the chair that you've heard us talking about? And more than that, why is this exciting? You know, now, what is it that gets the bridge between science and spirituality is no longer this bridge that you have to pay a gigantic toll. So it's not like the George Washington Bridge. It's like a different bridge. And here we are today with Dr. Dan. We're going to talk about what the SolTec Lounge is, why this is becoming the must-have for every practitioner out there thinking, I work with people, I help them heal, all of the above. And most importantly, you all have heard previous shows we've done, especially the show we did about addiction and recovery and how the chair is being used for that. But let's say that you're someone that is seeking a peace of mind from the day-to-day, maybe even the depression, maybe even the limitedness in your life, maybe even from things you can't even understand. Today, we're going to find out why this idea that Dr. Dan had years and years and years ago, finally, a time has come for it. Dr. Dan Cohen, of course, is more than amazing. He is an author. He is a speaker. His books, if you want to find out about his books, go to addictedtomyego.com. But most importantly, you know, he is somebody that totally is about the science. A neurologist, but he's also about the spirituality. How is that even happening? How is healing and psychospiritual effects of synchronized sounds, vibrations, and electromagnetic fields the topic for today's show? Dr. Dan, great to have you here.
Oh, it's great to be here.
I'm fired up about this because I'm not the person to talk about the chair. I can only talk about my experience with it. And hopefully today, as you describe how it has been created, what the evolution of it is, and what are the new advancements, we're going to be able to blend that with the realization of how it opens up our minds and our hearts. Are you excited about today's show?
You bet.
Yeah. Why and how did this idea come to you?
Well, you know, it's a funny confluence of activities. Essentially, this is an area that I've always been interested in terms of spirituality. It's actually, believe it or not, it's why I became a doctor, which sounds a little strange, but you know, I wanted to understand the mind and the brain, and so I figured that was a good place to start, and so I became a neurologist. So that essentially I could understand it from at least a clinical point of view. But you know, that's very unsatisfactory in terms of sort of the spirituality and the energy field. How does that really mesh with science? And I think, as we all know right now, the answer is pretty poorly, because we don't have any kind of scientific instrumentation to look at this. But, it's always been a fascination of mine. And when, I moved from medicine into business, and I started developing products. And the first was a brainwave monitor to help prevent strokes during high-risk surgery. And then we also did sleep disorders diagnostics. And then I think, as we discussed once before, I licensed what became the Breathe Right nasal strip and launched that. And that gave me, the resources to do a lot more. And so in 1996, I was looking for my next project, and I was looking specifically for how am I going to get back to this exploration of spirituality in a more scientific way? How can I really look at this, not from a diagnostic standpoint, because I knew that we were sort of, very far away from having any kind of equipment that could really, measure the human energy field. But how could we at least do something from a therapeutic standpoint that would stimulate this? And so I encountered some equipment that produced sound and some vibration, and I was intrigued with what that did in terms of its relaxing effect. And then over the years, as we experimented with that, and I was working with some folks who were very, very gifted in terms of their ability to perceive the human energy field. And so I was able to then work with them on developing some electromagnetic stimulation that was synchronous to the sound and vibration. And that was really the trick. So we started to make some real progress in 2007, after 10 years of working on it. And then by 2011, we really had it so that it was very, very effective. So that was sort of the sequence of events without covering the why of it.
Yeah. Had you ever thought, I mean, I don't even know how to ask this question, so let me give it a shot. When you had this idea, clearly 15 plus years ago, I'm not sure the world was literally ready for it, but absolutely needed it. Today, it is getting clearer and clearer to us, Dr. Dan. I mean, I'm going to be doing a radio show tomorrow, my Lyme Talk radio show, and it's become clearer and clearer to me that healing has an opportunity to take on whole new meaning. And I wanted to get your sense of it. Old school, thousands of years ago, our conversation about healing and vibration and energy would have been the norm. You know what I mean? Right, thousands of years ago, we wouldn't have had to sit here and do a show about this. No way. People would be like, yep, heal me. I'm ready. But today, we have had an evolution. Tell me from your perspective about the time and how important it is to look at how relevant the time has come now is.
Well, it's interesting that you bring this up because after we got the technology to the point where I said we really have it, and this was at the end of 2011.
Yeah.
I remember driving to work one day, and I was stopped at a red light, and I looked up, and I basically said out loud, even though I was alone in the car, what do you want from me? What else do I have to do with this? And I got back an answer right away, and the answer was, you're done. And I went into the office that morning, and I told everybody we were closing it down. I said, I don't think the world's ready for this.
Wow.
And so we literally...
That had to be hard, Dr. Dan. I want to talk about that. I don't want to just blow by that because, you and I have talked about how each of us have had to step away from our dream from time to time. Mm-hmm. How did that feel to you at the time? Was it kind of mixed, like, yeah, I don't, it's sad, but yeah, I know it's like the thing to do?
Well, actually, I had been so frustrated by the lack of responsiveness, that I said, good riddance. I said,
nice.
I said, I've been at this for 15 years at this point. And I said, that's it. I'm ready to walk away. And a couple of weeks later, I was talking to a friend of mine who was a past president of the American Holistic Medical Association. And I told him that we just closed down the shop, and he screamed at me. Literally. He says, you can't do that. He says, this is the next penicillin, and you're closing it down? And I said, yeah. I said, I don't believe anybody's ready. And so he organized a group of over 100 people, and he said, I want you to present to this group. And he says, what will it take for you to, resurrect the project? And I said, well, we just can't afford to just keep it going, at this point. I said, somebody's got to step up and say they want to actually buy it and put it into use. And he says, how many will you need to buy it? And I said, well, why don't we have 30? And so we did our presentation, and 50 people signed up to buy. And so we restarted it and delivered those units in 2013. And ever since then, it's becoming, more and more accepted and more popular.
Yeah. Can I talk with you a little bit? I know you recently did a show. I know you went out into the world and introduced people perhaps that were not, right there familiar with what you created. Can we talk a bit about the response from people when we come back? Let's take a short break. Sure. Dr. Dan Cohen's in the house. The reason that I'm so excited about this is because, first of all, I have a chair, and thanks to Dr. Dan, and I had no idea whatsoever about the impact. And as a matter of fact, I don't know how to really talk about it in science terms. But when we come back, we're going to hear about what other people have discovered. And I'm going to share a little bit about what has changed for me. That's very difficult to pinpoint, but I can only talk about it by creative juices. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Transformation Talk Radio is dedicated to the education and awareness of Lyme disease.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Lyme Talk Radio. I'm Dr. Pat, joined here by
Dr. Nusheen Darvish.
Dr. Pat Basili and Dr. Nusheen Darvish will be bringing the most innovative, groundbreaking information, research, treatment innovations, and stories from those it affects every day.
I'm so excited to be talking about this.
We have so much to share.
Dr. Darvish and I are planning to do is connect the dots.
People suffering with all sorts of chronic diseases, it's time. It is time for them to transform.
Tune into Lyme Talk Radio and help keep our mission strong.
For the loyal listeners out there that have been listening to this incredible show on Lyme disease, we are not going to let you down. We're going to come through stronger and enrich the platform for Lyme disease awareness through Lyme Talk Radio. The message will continue, the conversations will become stronger, and the healing epic.
Are you feeling stagnant or blocked in your love life, career, health, or finances? Experiencing difficulty focusing or setting and achieving goals? Tune in to Spiritual Diagnostics Radio with psychic visionary healers Carol Dorian and Suzanne Evans. Discover the cause and effect of unwanted patterns in life. Tune in every Tuesday at 12 p.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio. For more information, visit spiritualdeed.com.
Are you searching? Looking for a sign? A message you need to hear? From the great unknown, from the most mysterious place that is the most familiar to your soul in the depths of who you are. The universe put someone here to talk to, someone God gave a blessing to, that you may find insight with. TheAngelLady.net, 1-800-323-1790.
Calling all Intuits, healers, and readers, you are invited to the Women of Wisdom Fall Festival. Join us as we celebrate the bounty of our Mother Earth on October 1st at North Seattle Community College. We're looking for a variety of practitioners and experts in the art of energy healings, intuitive readings, and bodywork. If you are a reader, healer, or an artisan selling handmade arts and crafts, we invite you to share your gifts with the Women of Wisdom community. Go to womenofwisdom.org to apply.
There are so many resources out there for meditation. But did you know that Atana's Heart Earth Healing Meditation is available for you for free? Yes, that's right. You can receive this free healing meditation today from Atana Vadili. All you need to do is visit his website, atanamethod.com. That's ATAANA method.com, and sign up. You will receive your free meditation instantly. That's atanamethod.com.
Are you ready for a game changer? Sarah Westall is bringing you Business Game Changers Radio. Sarah brings you leading experts, visionaries, and newsmakers who provide the best commentary on big issues and cutting-edge innovations. Sarah's 20 years as a business executive will help you think like an entrepreneur with expertise, energy, and attitude. Tune into Business Game Changers Mondays at noon Pacific, 3 Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com.
OMG. Benny, is that Madonna?
Certainly was.
Oh, my God. You went all old school on me, dude.
Gotta be burning up, Pat. Gotta be burning up.
Okay, so I'm really going to be impressed if you play Wham. Okay? A little Deadpool right there.
That's easy.
Oh, my God. Dr. Dan Cohen's in the house. And, oh, my gosh, I can't believe you played Miss Madonna. We're talking about the SolTec Lounge. It's a really important show. What I was saying to Dr. Dan during the break is I've talked about the chair with all y'all listening. And, I mean, I'm not an affiliate. I'm not here to, get a piece of the sales action from this. That's not me. What I want to share with everyone is, and I'm going to be doing an entire show on this in about a week or so when we announce our new channels. Maybe it'll be a little bit longer. November we're looking at. But here's what I know. All of a sudden, I get these ideas. All of a sudden, I'm at this peaceful place, but I just don't get an idea. It's like you get an idea and then the people show up in your life that are like, yeah, why don't you do that, Pat? And wow, we can help with that. And I don't really know how to understand it, but Dr. Dan's going to talk about an event he just did. Here's what happened. Dr. Dan, what do you make about that? I get it from a real creative perspective. I'm just saying here.
Well, I can tell you as a neurologist,
yeah.
We think about the brain as, most people think about the brain as this does that. So the brain accounts for all of these functions, when in fact, that's really the opposite of what the brain does. The brain should be viewed as a filter. So in other words, all of that creative stuff is out there. And when you have to bring it in to consciousness to communicate it or to understand it, the brain filters that down to this level of consciousness. Okay? So in essence, the brain excludes a tremendous amount of content, probably, 99.99%. So you're really only left with a very small fragment of information that is able to filter through that, as long as you're operating using mostly brain function, okay? And unfortunately, we live in a society that's extremely mental, and it's extremely left hemisphere based, all around language and sequential linear thought processes. And as a result, a lot of the stuff that comes into the right hemisphere gets filtered out. So a lot of what most people would consider to be subconscious doesn't make it into our conscious awareness, although it can. And when people develop creative insights that just sort of pop in, that's not something they thought about. That's something that essentially slipped in through the filters. And the way that works is the brain was, for that moment, quiet enough for that information to filter in.
Mm-hmm.
All right?
Yeah.
So, in essence, what the SolTec Lounge does is it quiets the brain so that you've got access to more of that content. That's the beauty of it. It not only profoundly relaxes you, because when you're in it, the way it treats your senses, it ends up putting the nervous system into this quiescent, this sleep-like state, even though your awareness still persists. And in that state, you become very, very, very relaxed, but it's also suppressing those linear, logic-based left hemisphere practices that act as a filter.
Mm-hmm.
So you get the benefit of both profound relaxation and stress reduction in addition to that input of more of what is typically subconscious to you or you're not consciously aware of.
Yeah. Dr. Dan, I love this conversation. I totally went back and listened to the show we did when we had a special guest friend of yours on to talk about addiction and recovery and using the chair. What was the reaction to the people that were at your live event?
Well, we had an event. We went to a trade show. It was actually the International Spa Association, because this is becoming our seed market. So we're looking at getting the SolTec Lounge into spas, health clubs, hotels around the world, because it provides a nice, easy way for lots of people to go try it, because these are places where you can go in and actually try it. So, and we're also, we're also exploring a number of other venues that are similarly public in nature. And in that way, consumers, everywhere will have access to experience it. And so when we showed it there, we gave people only very short segments, only 10 to 15 minute, periods on the chair, because there were hundreds of people that wanted to try it. We only had a few days. So, but what we found was what we found doing this thousands of other times, and that is people immediately move into a state of just profound levels of relaxation, where they experience a level of relaxation that they're unaccustomed to, and that's the beauty of this technology. I mean, I was talking to a couple of doctors at the Mayo Clinic a few weeks back, and one of them, leads up their integrative medicine department, and he was complaining to me that he says, if you give me 100 people and you tell me to teach them how to meditate, he says, after 3 months, he says, I may only be successful with 5 of them. And then if I take the rest of the 95 and I use biofeedback practices, I may only be successful with another 10. He says, so I've got 85 people that I'm not able to treat effectively in terms of these kinds of, relaxation practices. And he says, with your chair, he says, I can treat all 100 because they immediately fall into this state, because the technology induces these changes rather than having to work at them. See, part of the problem with biofeedback and meditation, the way these things are taught, you're using the brain to quiet itself.
Exactly.
That doesn't work.
No, it doesn't.
Right. Turn it off from the get-go and have the technology stimulate what's required in order to, induce that level of brain quiescence.
I love that you just said that. I've been doing this show like we're going to be pushing 15 years here. And even though I know that intuitively, but I hadn't really heard it that way. We're using the brain. I hadn't really heard about that.
Right,
and
right. Well,
yeah.
I went to my dentist this morning, and my dentist also has a PhD in neuroscience. And we were talking about the SolTec Lounge, and he says to me, he says, the Dalai Lama would love this because he's constantly complaining that, meditation is hard for him and he just wants to be in that state. He says he could use your lounge.
We should send it. I think it's time to send him the lounge.
Right.
But I think that what we're dealing with is a day and age that we live in, Dr. Dan, where having a conversation like this would have been for a select few people. But that is not the world we're living in. We're talking with entire families, husbands, wives, partners, significant others, children that are trying to figure out ways to calm down. And I've shared the story many times about my little, how should I say it? My little beautiful 8-year-old that came down one day, took a look at the chair, sitting there with their mom and the family, and we're chit-chatting, fascinated by the chair, and laid in the chair. And I said, "Oh, let me turn it on for you for a little bit." And the mom's saying, "Oh, she'll stay in that chair 30 seconds. That's not going to happen. Don't waste your time. Don't turn it on." And I just did. I'm like, "Okay, I'm turning it on." Put her in the chair. That's the last we heard from her. Here we had a scenario where this behavioral thing about a young one who doesn't go to sleep right away, really difficult, really kind of on the go, got in that chair and was out like a light. And I only had it on really low. And I don't know the science behind that, but I want to talk about that when we come back. How can each of us learn from what an 8-year-old so could teach us from the SolTec Lounge? We'll be right back.
It's that time of the year again. The Women of Wisdom Fall Harvest Festival is right around the corner. Join us on October 1st from 10:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. at North Seattle Community College Conference Center. Admission is free. Festivities include arts and crafts, energy healers, intuitive readers, delicious food, and more. Don't miss this fun-filled event. For more information, visit womanofwisdom.org. That is womanofwisdom.org, and we'll see you there.
Wow. Hey, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. This is Talk Radio to Thrive By. I'm telling you, I got to pinch myself some days, because when each of us gets called to do something that we so not thought was in our wheelhouse to do for a purpose that's so much greater than us, we get to show up and shine.
If you would like to show up and shine on the Dr. Pat Show as a co-host or sponsor, send us an email to inspire@thedrpatshow.com.
Tune in to Lucid Planet Radio with Dr. Kelly Neff. This hit show will illuminate your senses and empower you beyond your daily stressors and hardships. Renowned psychologist and author Dr. Kelly will captivate you with far-reaching topics and amazing guests as you wake to the greatest version of yourself. Learn to tap into your intuitions, think critically about our world, heal emotional and psychological wounds, and follow your passions to live your dreams. The Lucid Planet, welcome home. Visit lucidplanetradio.com for more information.
Tune in to The Michael Shane Show, the third Tuesday of each month at 11 a.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com, and connect with the ascended beings to raise your vibration and manifest the life you desire. Get ready to receive healing through the transphysical mediumship of Reverend Michael Shane and the ascended beings. Visit MichaelShane.com. That's MyChael, Shane.com, and call 425-971-6632 to schedule your full healing session now.
Have you wanted to make more money without working harder or more? Maybe you've tried new ways to bring in extra income without success. Hi, my name is Deb Acker, and in addition to being the host of Truth Talk Radio, I'm an intuitive life coach and energy healer. I clear energy blocks to all areas of life, including abundance. Did you know many times we have an invisible income ceiling? So no matter what we do, our income never goes up, or if our income does go up, we experience an unexpected expense that negates this. How much would it be worth to significantly increase your income or even have unexpected income show up? When I was in the corporate world, I used these techniques to increase my income by tens of thousands of dollars without changing my work routine. In fact, I worked even less, and I now help clients do the same. If this resonates for you and you're truly ready for abundance in your life, I'd love to gift you with my pattern identification session. Simply contact me on the contact page of my website, DeborahAcker.com. That's DeborahAcker.com. And let me know you heard about this gift through Transformation Talk Radio. I look forward to connecting soon.
Oh, come on, Wham. You guys get back together. Let's do some old school. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Dr. Dan Cohen is in the house, the SolTec Lounge. You have heard us talk about it, and I can't say enough about it. And I'm not the person to talk about why it works. Dr. Dan Cohen, as many of you know, I want to just make sure, go to the website tools, TOOLS, TOAwaken.com. There's lots of information about the lounge. I call it the chair. And we're going to hear a little bit. Now, Dr. Dan, I want to just ask you this question. I know that you were at this trade show and you had chairs, and we've all done trade shows. We've all actually go to them. Can you give me a sense of, did people like the chair? I mean, how busy were you? That's what I want to really know that.
Well, we were actually the busiest booth at the show with,
wow,
I think, over 250 booths. I mean, and you know how typically a trade show will wind down on the last day. And we were just as busy the last day as we were on the first day. So, the chair we had 3 chairs in the booth, and they were filled constantly. And unfortunately, we had to keep, we like to give people longer sessions, but since everybody wanted to try it, or so many people wanted to try it, we had to limit the sessions to just 10 to 15 minutes. But that's even enough for people to understand how it works. And, we had some people complain that they wanted more, but, we just have to share.
Yeah. So how long did people stay in it, and how long were your lines?
Well, we were there for 3 days, and we had, we would only let people stay in it 10 to 15 minutes. I mean, that was it. And normally we like to give sessions that are 30 to 50 minutes, but that was just not possible at a trade show where hundreds of people want to try it.
Wow. What did people say, Dan? I'm just curious, because I know that I have a hard time describing my experience, but I'm just curious. What did people say when they got up? Did people come back around? What kinds of words did they use? Because I find it hard to find the right words.
Well, I think the biggest response was surprise. They were kind of shocked that in a trade show environment, they could actually become that profoundly relaxed in such a short time period.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like some of them would come to and be a little disoriented. It's like, wow, I felt like I wasn't here. Oh, I have to reorient to this trade show environment. So it was very surprising to them that they could get that relaxed that quickly. And what a number of them wanted was, hey, can I come back and have a longer session? And unfortunately, it was no. But that's just the way it was for that session, for that trade show.
Well, this leads to the question of, what happens when we use it, right?
Well,
what happens to you when you use it? And then you and I were just talking a little bit about, and I shared something with you that I could tell on the days that I don't use it. I could tell what happens to me. The best word that I know is I feel heavier. My day feels heavier. I don't have a lightness in my step. And I'm just curious, what happens to you when you use it? And how often should people use it, if there is a should?
Yeah, I've been using this for a long time now, for years. And so I don't suffer the sort of the letdown that you have. It's not even a letdown. It's sort of a step down.
Yeah.
Because energetically what happens when you're in the chair, it raises you to a much higher level. And that's why when you know, for the next day or two, most people report that, oh my God, it's like I'm living a different life now. You know, I'm not only so much more relaxed and calm, but, you know, just life is so much easier. And when you've used it enough so that you've really changed significantly, because this is transformative technology. This is not just an experience. This will change you. And for me, I've been changed sufficiently that I exist in that state all the time. Mm-hmm. So I don't, even if I went a week without using the technology, it doesn't diminish my level of where I'm at. Now, having said that, I still use the technology regularly because when I get in it, it takes me further. So, but I, you know, I'm more of, I'm kind of like the 1%er. You know, and a lot of people say that they're interested in spiritual development and this and that. And quite frankly, I mean, they may mean that to a certain extent, but I've found that most people that say that really are not interested in changing all that much. Mm-hmm. You know, they're interested in changing a little, but most people are not. They're not really willing to let go and surrender their egos, for instance. Mm-hmm. You know, and that's, and, you know, they're happy with the status quo with some correction. You know, like you know, my life would be a lot better if this person wasn't annoying me and if that person would change. But you know, I'm pretty good the way I'm at. That's kind of where most people are at, and most people are happy maintaining their coping strategies or their defense mechanisms, and they're happy to argue that they're right and you're wrong, and you know, or they think they've achieved a level of enlightenment that, quite frankly, is their ego feeling that way as opposed to really achieving that kind of state. And so most people that claim to be interested in spiritual development, I'm sorry, they're generally not. And I know you probably have some listeners now who are probably gnashing their teeth and saying, this guy's full of crap and so on and so forth. They're probably not using words that nice. But in truth, that's kind of what I've experienced, you know, working with hundreds, if not thousands, of individuals now, and they're most people just don't want to go to that next level. You know, they're not willing to put in the effort, and the effort is more than just sitting in the SolTec Lounge. The lounge is transformative in and of itself, but you have to be willing to really let go of all of those beliefs that are holding you back. Okay. And most people hold on to their beliefs so tightly that they're unwilling to let them go. Yeah.
You know, don't you find, too, though, this is what I think I've been experiencing as well. Don't you find that folks have bought the T-shirt, worn the T-shirt, and burned the T-shirt when they've been approached to say, I can teach you how to meditate. I can, right? Because if you would have told me that there is, quote, no teaching that has to happen here except, you know, for me, how to put it together and how to use it, which is pretty simple, I might not have believed you. You know, it's like a solution that does require additional conversation like we're having today. And I think you got to see that from the hundreds of people that came to your booth, sat down in the chair, used the chair, and were changed by what happened, just like an 8-year-old. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, that's just the realizing that, holy crap, you know what? There's a level of relaxation that I've been missing that I can be at on a day-to-day basis. And then it's taking that further and saying, okay, what does that allow me to do now that I'm feeling better about myself in a way that I can start to really let go of some of these, you know, ridiculous beliefs that I hold that really are the foundation of my coping strategies. Okay? So that I'm no longer triggered. I mean, this whole human experience that is lived from the perspective of one's ego
is really a lousy way to live one's life, and it's the way 99.999% of people are living. Very few people have gotten by that hurdle. And this technology gives you the ability to make that transition so much simpler.
Yeah. This is really kind of, the reference to the time we live in, and we keep talking about that. And I want to touch upon that when we come back from break. And what I mean by that is you had this idea, right? 15, 20 years ago, let's say. But now there is an evolution that's not just requiring, connecting and using the SolTec Lounge, but new advancements in it. You're not just sitting back saying, okay, this is kind of good. Yeah, let's get out there. You've thought about what's the next level of this? What might we do to improve? Because that's who you are. We're going to take a short break, everyone. When we come back, we're going to talk with Dr. Dan Cohen, my very special co-host joining me here today, about what are the advancements? What does that even mean? What is being worked on? In the process of discovery, what do we see that gets revealed that can even make this more beneficial to people? We'll be right back after this short break.
Have you ever wanted to learn about the colors of your chakras? Well, now's your chance. Lynn Brown, host of Get Into It, is hosting an event Friday, November 4th from 7 to 8:30 p.m. in Mount Vernon. Every person will get a reading on the most prominent color in their aura. Join Lynn Brown November 4th at the Riverwalk Studio in Mount Vernon. To register for this event, call 360-588-4713. That's 360-588-4713.
Tune in to The Jen Royster Show, intuitive guidance to inspire your life, each Thursday at 8 a.m. Pacific and 11 a.m. Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com. This amazing show is an inspirational hour that will take you on an epic metaphysical journey to discover the spiritual approach to life's greatest challenges. Dr. Jen is an internationally known intuitive counselor, spiritual teacher, and energy healer. Call in for intuitive readings and visit JenRoyster.com for more information.
What is a brilliant culture? And how do we create them? Why are they important? Claudette Rowley has created a breakthrough 5-step process to help you design a culture that is authentic, innovative, and successful. Learn how to create change with Cultural Brilliance Radio, the DNA of organizational excellence, and Claudette Rowley. To learn more or work with Claudette, visit ClaudetteRowley.com.
Are you sick of feeling overworked with no motivation? Take a break from the daily grind. Life coach Nicole Eisler is here to provide a healing journey of optimism. Passionate and caring, Nicole is no ordinary soul. Her dedication to helping everyone has no limit. Witness the power of positivity. Tune in every first and third Tuesday at 4 p.m. Pacific for Positivity Party Radio with Nicole Eisler on Transformation Talk Radio. For more information, visit BigDreamAwakening.com.
Are you tired of being bloated and nauseous? Hi, I'm Mary Jane Mack. Did you know eating unhealthy foods eventually leads to an unhealthy digestive system? Did you know eating the most healthy, nutritious food doesn't necessarily result in a healthy body? The stomach must be healthy in order to properly digest, metabolize, and utilize even the best of nutrition. Without proper digestion from the stomach through the intestinal tract, the nutritious value is not absorbed, and the improperly digested food can be more toxic to your body than helpful. You can be doing all the right things and getting all the wrong results. In fact, other organs may also be interfering with your stomach's ability to digest. Contact us today for your appointment at 888-777-4232. That's 888-777-4232. Or visit us at MaryJaneMack.com.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. So great to. For more information about us, I love all you. You are the best listeners on the planet. I'm telling you, I want to make sure that if you're listening to the show and you're thinking, my chiropractor should find out more about this, my dentist should find out more about this, my massage therapist, whoever it is should find out more about this. I want to make sure that you have a phone number so that you can talk to Dr. Dan directly. If you want to go to the website, toolstoawaken.com, go ahead and do that. But Dr. Dan, if people want to talk to you directly, how can they do that?
Well, my number, they can call me directly if they really want to have a serious conversation about this. And it's 952-210-4500.
Great. And go to the website, addictedtomyego.com, or you can go to toolstoawaken.com. Dr. Dan has got videos together. I want to talk about the advancements that you're going to be putting together, and I want to make sure you do it. But I got to tell you something. I was sharing this during the break, and Benny's heard me talk about this. I started playing table tennis again. And I started out by just, popping the ball back and forth with a bunch of my friends, not very competitively. But all of a sudden, I found out about a place up in Everett where they actually play to win. Now, I haven't really played to win table tennis since 1974. And I got to tell you, it is very difficult. I've done 3 things differently. One, I started to drink ionized water and take maca tinctures for physical stuff. But how do you even explain the level of focus I have to be able to hit a ball like 80 miles an hour and the ball barely skid off the table? And I have not played that sport at that level since 1974. And yeah, I want to have that conversation with you. Maybe not today, but I'll tell you that the folks around me are very grateful that I have the SolTec Lounge, given everything that we're doing. But there isn't a rational way to talk about why I'm able to do that, why I'm able to take instruction from a man that's helping me with my stroke and within 30 seconds do something I've never done before. I'm just not that great, Dr. Dan. Tell us about the advancements, and what do you make of that? I know we should do a whole show on sports, but what do you make of that?
Well, I think it's pretty clear, and it happens. It happens beyond just sports. I mean, your example is very good, and what's really happening there is, you've heard this expression in sports when athletes say, the game just slows down. And it's not that the game slows down. It's that their ability to perceive all the nuances are so much greater and faster. And therefore, it appears as though everything slows down because now they're appreciating everything in a faster time frame so that they can respond much better and more accurately. And that's the big reason for, your improvement. But that happens, that happens in general life too, where whereas in the past, somebody might have said something where it would have triggered, a defense mechanism in me, I can see everything as though it's moving in slow motion and saying, oh yeah, that they're saying that. I would have thought this. I no longer think that. This is how I feel. Oh, now I realize they're coming from this disadvantaged place, and they're suffering from this belief, which is triggering this feeling, which is causing them to say these words and have these thoughts. So all of a sudden, life slows down, and you can appreciate things from an entirely elevated vantage point, which is a great place to be because it allows you to respond compassionately versus defensively. So these are wonderful steps that happen, throughout life, all aspects, sports, just general living, when you can appreciate these nuances from a vantage point of being so much more relaxed. And
that's it.
Well, it's part of it.
I didn't even think about the emotional. I didn't even thinking about the emotional intelligence part of this.
Right. Well, and the other is the presence, and then you have to say, what do you mean by presence? And that gets into how this technology really works, and which leads to the advancements. Because, essentially, the sound and vibration part are very good at what we call habituating aspects of the nervous system that normally you would use to survey the environment for danger. And so they put these areas of the nervous system at rest so that you can turn off that surveillance mechanism and say, hey, you know what, everything's okay. Let me not be looking for danger, and instead let me turn that off so the sympathetic division of the autonomic nervous system gets shut down and the parasympathetic comes to life, and you can sit in this much more relaxed state. But it's the electromagnetic aspect of the SolTec Lounge that I love this aspect more than the other. And this is the part that unfortunately we don't have science to support it, but we do have members of our team who are wide open perceptively that can see the human energy system. And, this is the part that took us 10 years, or actually 14 years, to get right in this project. And that was to stimulate that aspect of us so that we are truly present throughout our entire body, because most people are not well grounded energetically throughout the body. And that's what the technology does. It puts you right in that state. And that's the beauty, in my mind, of how this technology works so well from this perspective, because that presence changes one's entire vantage point, because now you're not just responding from the ego perspective, but now you've got the higher self truly engaged in your life. And that, when your true self is present to that extent, and you allow that to manifest, then the changes really click in.
Wow. I know we've got a few minutes left. Can you give us a sneak peek at what's coming?
Yeah, I'd say the next aspect of this technology is a 3D motion platform that we're developing, so that the SolTec Lounge actually rests on this platform. It's not a very high platform, but what the platform does is it moves in 3 dimensions. So it rotates 360, and with every 360-degree rotation, there are 3 pitch and yaw motions, so that you essentially move in all dimensions. And what that does is, from a neurologic standpoint, it habituates the vestibular system. So after about 10 minutes of that, you don't think you're moving at all, which is kind of interesting, which also, sets you in this more relaxed state of being. But energetically, what we found is it dramatically opens up the heart area. So energetically, a very large vortex forms in the heart region. There's a lesser one that forms in the forehead, sort of the third eye area, and also a lesser one in the upper abdomen, so that you have essentially 3 vortices that develop due to this motion, with the biggest one in the heart, and it really opens people up in a very nice way in terms of being, having greater heart centered.
Wow. I've got an idea I want to run by you. I can't thank you enough, Dr. Dan, for all that you do. I have one question left. What's your personal message? What would you like to leave us with today?
I would like to tell everybody that if they could just simply let go of, those beliefs that they hold onto, and recognize that their beliefs are not truth, and just laugh, learn to laugh at yourself, and not be so uptight about these things, then I think everybody would get along so much better.
I agree. I'm telling you. I got to laugh at myself a little bit this weekend. Yep, indeed. Dr. Dan Cohen, everyone. I'm Dr. Pat. I want to thank all of you for tuning us in and turning us on. I want to thank Benny for pushing all the right buttons, the team at Transformation Talk Radio for doing what they do, and all of you for being the best listeners on the planet. We'll see you next time.
The preceding audio was via a Skype call.